Hello and welcome to Coffee and Bonsai with Tom. Today we are going to work on this large jade. You can see as I pan up here, it is too large for even my background. It's quite big. Some might call it overgrown, but I'm going to show you how I typically handle these. I've had this jade for quite a while now, and I think it'll be a lot of fun. I've had several of these jades like this over the years, and it's kind of the nature of them. If you don't regularly kind of prune them back, they really like to grow, and they get taller and taller and develop branches. And before you know it, you've got quite a large plant on your hands. And you can see, I've pruned it back here and there. It obviously has some long sections that could be cut back, but boy, look at this trunk. It's really developing some character and some bark, and I really think it's kind of something special. I don't know where this came from, but yeah, it's a nice looking jade. And to me, the plant's a bit lost in how big it is, because this is a beautiful trunk, but when you look at the tree, you don't see that. All you see are these large branches, and it's an impressive looking jade. And if I were going to keep this as a house plant, you can see I cut it there, I would probably go with that. But I sort of want it to be a smaller tree that I value more. And so take a look at it here. Like I said, the bark's nice. See, it's got taper, but it has these long straight sections. And one option is to just really cut it back, maintain some of this branch structure and cut it back to 2 or 3 nodes. You can see I want it about this height, I think, when it's all said and done. So that's maybe a third of how big it currently is. So that would be quite a cut, or quite a reduction. But I'm going to look at it here, and I'll see what we want to do. Like I said, the bark's really nice, and it's kind of over potted now, but I'm not going to touch the roots. I tend to only want to work on the top or the bottom of the tree at one time, and let the other half of it heal. If it has lots of foliage, it'll quickly grow new roots, and if it has roots, it has a lot of energy to sort of grow new foliage. But you can also cut them both. But you can see some of this long stuff, and I have some branches coming to the inside. This tree has just been sitting in a part of the house where I've basically just kind of ignored it for quite a while, and I recently put it outside, and you can see it's really awakened and is kind of grown with vigor. You can see I had cut it here. I had been pruning it regularly for quite a while, and then I just sort of fell off with that. People sometimes ask me, how do you get these jades with these big trunks? And well, I think I'm about to show you. So consider this a pruning trigger warning, because I look at this and I think if I cut all this back, I could compact it greatly, and that would for sure improve the look of the tree and the size, and make it more manageable to move around, and I think it'd be an all-around better tree. But I have a dream here, and I think I want to go a little further than that, which will require me to cut it back a bit harder. But these grow back very quickly, and I think even within a year this will be quite a beautiful tree. So here we go. You can see what we've got here. I'll get the camera focused, and some people think doing a heavy reduction it's kind of shocking, but I've done this many times, and it's going to work out well. And see, I've got my pruners here, and I got to pick a spot here. It's kind of nice with jade. You can tell by the way the branches come out, since they alternate every 90 degrees. I can sort of pick which direction I want the initial new branches to come. In this case, you see that dot, it would come straight forward, but it doesn't really matter in this case, because we're going to regrow most of the tree. And you know, I'll have to pick a spot on this left trunk as well. I want to maintain the two trunks, of course, because I think that's quite charming. But without further ado, here, as Nigel Saunders would say, big cut coming up. So I can't go through in one go, so I sort of hold on to the top and gently lean it to the left as I slice further and further in and take off the top of the tree. Timber. And look at that huge cutting. I mean, that in and of itself would make quite a nice tree, and we'll take a look at that here in a minute. But let's figure out where we want to cut this on the left side. You can see I'm going to have I cut pretty close to the node section. I find if I, keep it in bright light but not direct light, so it won't really scorch that end until it kind of heals off, then you can go pretty close. So I'm going to cut this here, because I think that's about where I want the second trunk to start growing. And another big cutting. So this is what we're left with, and I know it seems like we're starting over, but in fact we're not. We're starting with a really nice fat trunk, and then we can build out branches. We're starting with a trunk with some great character, and this tree is just going to be vastly more charming when it starts to grow out. Even in the near term, it'll sort of blow up here, and this is probably about a third of what the final height of the tree will be, maybe it's slightly more than that. And I think I will just appreciate this so much more as it grows in. Yeah, you got to be a little ruthless or you'll have no room for the trees you love. But let's take a look at this large cutting. I mean, this might make a great tree in and of itself. And what I found with cuttings is, like, nobody wants a cutting, like people at the club. But if you give them a rooted tree in some sort of a container, those will go pretty well. People will line up for those. But so I look at this. I don't really have a need for a tree this large. And what I like to do is just make cuttings out of these. And this is kind of the fun part. You just sort of do your pruning and style a basic trunk in the shape of something you might want to use. And we'll pot these up, not in this video, but in one soon. And, it's great forest material. I think one of my first videos in this channel, it's a Crassula Ovata forest in a red pot. All the material that I got for that was done exactly like this. I just took, cuttings of a cutting, got some nice large trunks, put them in some soil and just let them grow. Even I think it was just from summer to fall. And midwinter I was potting them up as a forest, right? So they move pretty quickly. I think I'm gonna cut this one here. And I basically just, as I'm showing here, I kind of start at the bottom, and because I want a thick trunk, and then I kind of work my way up, and you almost end up with fabulous forest material, because by doing that, you're getting thinner and thinner trunks as you go up, and you can move trees out to the back, and you just kind of take a guess. You sort of have to imagine. You don't know exactly. You're not guaranteed to get new leaves everywhere in these, but it's about, I don't know, 95% reliable. And you just create a bunch of cuttings and you use what works and you give the rest away. Now the aftercare for these cuttings is, I kind of just cut these things up as I'm doing here, and then you want to let these ends kind of dry out a bit. So I just put them in a pile on a tray and stick them. I keep them outside, but in the shade. Just let them sit there for 3-4 days, maybe 5 days a week. I mean, it doesn't matter too much. You just want to make sure you at least give them 3 or 4 days, and then I pot them up in soil, and then don't water them. Give them plenty of bright indirect light, and just be patient until you see them growing. And then they have roots, and you start watering them. And it's sort of the same for the pot we had there. I definitely don't want to water it because it has no leaves. It just has roots, and the trunk itself has a tremendous amount of water. And so give it bright indirect light and just wait for it to start growing. And then I put it out in the sun, and it's kind of back to business as usual. So that's pretty much a wrap for this video, but I do want to leave you with a parting thought. And, I mean, I know this process might seem harsh, but, if you want large trunk jade or any bonsai tree, really, this is how you do it. You grow and chop, and you grow and chop until you get the trunk that you want. And then you start working on your branches, and you do the same thing. You grow the branches and chop them, and then when you're happy with that, you start growing your ramification branches, right? And you just keep refining that. So it's kind of grow and chop for the trunk and roots, grow and chop for some of the branches, or maybe a combination of clip and grow with the branches and or the ramification, and the tree will just get more and more refined as the years roll by. So I want to thank you for spending time with me, and stay tuned in the channel, and I will of course do regular updates on the progress of this bonsai. And thanks for spending time with me, and I look forward to seeing you all again very soon.